In this lesson, we're going to introduce the keyboard buttons. We're just going to talk about the keyboard right now, and in the next lesson, we'll actually use it. So the way that it works is it's connected to your machine by a cable, or maybe it's wireless. When you push a button, that sends a number to your computer, and it then becomes your computer's job to translate that number into a system character. So you probably have what's called a full-size QWERTY keyboard. QWERTY is the name of the arrangement of buttons in front of you, and it's pretty old. It was originally designed for typewriters. Let's get ready to take a look at the buttons. What we're going to see is that you can break up the keyboard into two sections, and those sections have groups of buttons in them. We're also going to focus on the biggest group of buttons. This is a full-size keyboard. In particular, it's a Windows keyboard. It looks like there are two rows of buttons, so let's call this the top section and the main section. Inside of the main section, there are three groups of buttons, and inside the top section, there are four. So these are the 7 groups that we'll be talking about. Inside of the main section, we have the primary group, the navigation group, and the calculator group. The calculator group is actually just a copy of buttons that we've seen so far. Notice that the calculator group has all of the same symbols as the navigation group. Inside of the top section, we have the escape button, and that's used to cancel a command. The buttons that start with F, those are called the function keys, and those are shortcuts for operations inside of programs. Next to that, we have a group of buttons that we're just going to call other shortcuts. These buttons had some original purpose, but we don't even make technology for that purpose anymore. And next to that, you probably have some buttons for the volume or for controlling your music. You also probably have 3 lights on your keyboard. So those are the 7 groups. Let's focus now on the primary group. What we can see right away is that the letters are in the middle and the numbers are on top of them. We also have buttons for punctuation. So those 3 things together make up what's called the alphanumeric characters, and that literally just means something that's related to the alphabet or a number. Along with that, we have characters that are for white space, and those are characters that you don't see. So far, we've talked about the actual characters. We also have some buttons that are for modifying characters, like for how we get capitals. And that's almost all of the buttons. The only thing left to mention are the command buttons. So that's the primary group. We just covered a lot. Let's take a breather and then reconstruct what we've learned so far. We have the letters and the numbers. We also have the punctuation buttons. We have the white space letters, and we have buttons for modifying characters. We also have commands, and that's the primary group. We have buttons for moving around in our characters, and we have buttons for moving around in our document. That's the navigation group. And we also have a copy of our buttons for the numbers, for the operations on numbers. We also have a button called numlock. We'll talk about numlock in the next video. And that's the calculator group. We have one button that's in its own group, that's escape. We have the function keys, and we have other shortcuts. And we also have our media buttons.